One game away from moving on to the conference finals, a place where this franchise historically has never been.
Dear Steve Ballmer, fire Doc Rivers. Let's talk about
it. So I want it all. My hunger burns, etching in my soul, a desire to gain everything. Yeah, I want it all.
So before I get into why Steve Ballmer and the Clippers need to move on from head coach Doc Rivers, I want to do a rewind and give a little history on Doc Rivers. In 2000, Doc Rivers was the coach of the Orlando Magic, in which he won Coach of the Year. Although he didn't get out of the first round, the Magic were looking very promising behind Tracy McGrady and potential pairing up with Grant Hill once Hill got fully healthy. With that, they then tried to get a big three in acquiring Tim Duncan from the San Antonio Spurs, but once again, Doc Rivers gets in his own way, wouldn't let Tim Duncan's family ride on the plane on occasion, and that cost them Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan resigns with the Spurs. Fast forward to 2003. They blow a 3-1 lead to the Detroit Pistons and once again lose in the first round. Fast forward to the next season. He starts off 1-10, fired. Now fast forward to 2004. He's hired by the Boston Celtics, and in the first season there, he reaches the playoffs, but they lose in Game 7 by 27 points. But that's okay. It's the first season there, right? Wrong. Second season, don't make the playoffs. Third season, post the second worst record in the NBA. They have a few good pieces. A young Al Jefferson, a budding, nice, gritty point guard in Rajon Rondo. A lot of people were calling for him to be fired because of that record, including Bill Simmons. But he got a second chance. And that second chance was the creation of the Big Three, acquiring two Hall of Famers in Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen. Next to Paul Pierce, another future Hall of Famer, launched them into what should have been a dynasty. They started off that first year with a ring, all right? First year, super team assembled, got a ring. Great job. And in their only other opportunity at a championship, they blew a 3-2 lead to the Lakers, losing in 7 in 2010. From there, injuries plagued the Celtics, and they never really were the same. Doc Rivers was then traded for a 2015 first-round pick to the Los Angeles Clippers, where he acquired Chris Paul, the point guard, Blake Griffin, the high flyer, DeAndre Jordan, a rim-protecting, high-flying machine, better known as Lob City. So Lob City era, they proceed to look great until the playoffs. This is a pattern that continues through the entire run of Doc Rivers with the Clippers. And in 2015, Doc Rivers blowing leads rears his ugly little head once again. They're up 3-1 versus the Houston Rockets, looking like they're about to take that next step, and they trip and blow a 3-1 lead for the second time in Doc Rivers' career. And that pretty much was the end of Lob City. From there, they proceed to lose in the first round 2 years in a row, trade Chris Paul, and proceed to miss the playoffs for the first time in years. From there, they get into the playoffs the next season as a gritty 8 seed that took the Warriors to the helm and still lost in the first round. They weren't expected to win, so I'll give him the benefit of the doubt on that one. They didn't have the star power to beat the Warriors. That's just being honest. But in 2019 offseason, they acquired Kawhi Leonard, the reigning, defending Finals MVP. We had Paul George get acquired by Kawhi's request. You add those two to a already stacked roster that's just missing a superstar. Instead, you add 2 superstars, and you got a recipe for a great team. You have a Defensive Player of the Year caliber point guard in Patrick Beverley. You have 2 Sixth Man of the Year candidates in Lou Will and Montrezl Harrell. You also have young pieces like Shamet and Zubac, and a couple of dogs get added in like Morrison, and you simply just don't get it done. Let's just be honest. The Mavericks had them on the brink, on the edge of getting the first upset. Porzingis goes down, that team just doesn't have enough firepower to keep up. Then you move to the Nuggets. They're dominating. They're up 3-1 against a team in which they just came back from a 3-1 deficit. The Jazz were not at full strength. The Nuggets should have never been down. Let's just be honest. So when they came back, it shouldn't have surprised anybody in that series. They were the better team and they deserved to move on. But when it comes to the Clippers, it's not an excuse. Doc Rivers is supposed to be the better coach. Kawhi Leonard is supposed to be the better superstar. Paul George is supposed to be a superstar. He's supposed to show up. None of these things happen. And yes, it looks bad to blame Doc Rivers for Paul George shooting like me in the gym. I understand that. But at some point, we have to look at the pattern. 2003, blew a 3-1 lead. 2010, blew a 3-2 lead. 2015, blew a 3-1 lead. When are we going to come to terms with the fact that it's Doc Rivers? It's Doc Rivers. He can't get it done. He doesn't make enough adjustments. If you know your players are tired and you got to play them in spurts, you need to find a better rotation. People who want it. The dogs. I don't want to hear about, oh, it's the conditioning. Oh, it's the bubble. Oh, they packed it in. And to me, that is an indictment on Doc Rivers allowing them to pack it in. He's a very relaxed coach for the most part on the sideline. And to me, that complacency, that relaxation cost the Clippers a chance at a championship again. In 2015, they should have won a ring. Just being honest. And in 2020, more than ever, they should have won a ring. This is 7 years of not being able to get out of the second round. Sooner or later, Doc has to take some blame for that. That's what I think. What do you think? Let's talk about it.
So I want it all. My hunger burns, etching in my soul, a desire to gain everything. Yeah, I want it all.